All right, Capricorn. This is an interesting one today. So, I got this musical staff. It was a treble staff, if that means anything to you. You know, those lines where sheet music is written. And I saw musical notes going up and down like a melody, up and down and up and down, maybe 4 or 5 times. So, like 4 or 5 peaks of an up and a down melody. And then after that, the notes just went up and up and up and up and up, way off the staff, way above the lines, and even beyond what a human being could hear. The notes went so high that they're beyond the audible range, probably even beyond the range of what like a dog or a bat could hear. The notes just kept going up and up forever. That's interesting. I didn't hear any music. I just saw the staff, the music, the sheet music, but I didn't hear anything. And I tried to hear, but I didn't hear anything. So maybe that's because the instrument you're playing is uniquely your own. And it might be like a secret what instrument you're playing. If you're a guitarist or a trumpet player or something like that, maybe that's just for you to know and nobody else. Or maybe this melody could be played on any instrument and it doesn't matter which one, and you have a choice. So that's why I didn't get a timbre or a tone or a sound, maybe because it's open-ended or because it's secret. I think it might have something to do with the secrecy. I'm leaning toward that one because of the I Ching hexagram I got you. We got hexagram 6, song, or contention, with that 6th changing line, which changes it to hexagram 47, exhausting. So here, this, contention is never a good thing. The first thing that we think about when we get contention in the I Ching is, can I nip this in the bud? Is it too late? Can I stop this contention before it arises? Can I notice where things would lead to contention and come up with a solution now, so that contention won't even arise? Because once contention arises, the only way to solve that problem between people is to compromise. And when we compromise, nobody's really happy because nobody gets really what they want. You have to give something up, they have to give something up, and you find a sort of happy medium. But most of the time, happy mediums are not at all happy. I really don't like the word happy medium because nobody's happy with a compromise, because neither party is getting what they want. But unfortunately, if the contention is already there, if it already arose, then it's best to solve the contention now before it gets out of hand. So there's a skill here, a skill of arbitration. A skill that an arbiter learns is how to make sure a fight or a conflict doesn't proceed any further if it has already begun. And that's a careful art form, and the arbiter knows the decisions that he or she will make are not going to please really anyone. Nobody is going to be happy with what the arbiter says, especially if the arbiter is truly unbiased and doing his job correctly. No one will be happy. If one party is happy and the other is not, then the arbiter probably was biased toward the happy party, or gave them the better end of the deal for some reason. So it's an unfortunate metric to measure how good an arbiter is, but if an arbiter has never made anybody happy, then he's probably a good arbiter. It's a miserable job. It's a miserable role to have to be in, but it's a role of great nobility and responsibility. And it takes a great deal of skill and self-control and judgment and discernment. And you're being asked to have that judgment and discernment and discrimination, the ability to see things clearly without bias. Don't let your feelings get in the way, because here we have this idea of opposing selfishness and unfairness. That's what an arbiter is really doing, is seeing how people are being selfish and unfair in this situation and how to eliminate that unselfishness and unfairness by introducing fairness into the situation. And when people are in a conflict or in a point of contention, then there is some unfairness going on. That's why the contention arose, because one party realized there's unfairness going on, or both parties realized. And all conflicts are rooted in some type of unfairness, or some type of overly self-serving behavior that needs to be rooted out. And opposing unfairness by introducing fairness, again, is not pleasing to the people that you are imposing this on. It's not pleasing to yourself, maybe. But fairness, again, is rarely pleasing, except to all those others who are not directly involved in the contention, but are affected by it. You know, innocent bystanders in a war or something like that. You know, there are always people around who are affected by conflicts, and they appreciate what the arbiter does, even though they're not directly involved in this case, in this court case or whatever it is. Those stakeholders, if you will, they're usually pleased with arbiters, and when an arbiter shows up, the bystanders are like, oh, thank God, finally someone's gonna put their foot down and end this crap. So there might be some sort of situation where you have to be fair in an unfair situation, and you have to speak very bluntly and publicly about it, where you're just calling out unfairness, and there will be adversity against you because you're calling it out, because you're trying to bring fairness to an unfair situation that is obviously unfair to some. And most of the time, when people are acting unfairly, they try to hide that fact. They try to pretend like they're not acting selfishly or unfairly, that everything is above board and everything is perfect, and how dare you call me out for acting unfairly, blah, blah, blah. I'm doing no wrong. This is the way we do things around here, and stuff like that. But if that's the case, then why is everybody pissed off at you, and why is this stuff failing all around you? You know, it's like the proof is in the pudding. So you have to have that sort of blunt speech where it's like the proof is in the pudding, look around you. Like, you can lie all you want. We know what's happening here. There's something wrong here. And having this changing line here at the 6th place, this is a pretty difficult and tricky spot to be in, because when you speak out like that, you might be speaking out to someone who is in a higher seat of authority or social status at this time, and they are not going to like it. They're not going to like you speaking out about this one bit. And after you do, you'll basically stir the pot and bring attention to it. It's why doing it publicly and bluntly and honestly, and with the intention of bringing fairness to the situation, and like making it known that you are bringing fairness. You're not doing this out of selfishness. You're doing this to solve a problem, an honest problem, an honest solution to this problem. And people around you see that. You know, maybe the person still doesn't care, gets angry and averse with you, and then you kind of have to take a step back. Now, you've got to realize that this contention is just a battle. It's not the war. So if you can afford to lose a battle and retreat and regroup for the sake of maintaining harmony in the situation, or for the sake of gathering strength in secret, that's advisable. So we have to swallow our pride here. And again, it's if you can afford to lose this battle. So really meditate on it and ask yourself, can I afford to take a step back and lose this battle? Of course, after you speak out, make it known like you are against this, whatever's happening. Make it known that you want to fix this, but it might fail after you do that, but your reputation will be secured as the person who stepped up. Even if you fail, it won't really matter right now, because this is just the battle. It's not the war. If you can secretly gather your strength, hide your intentions of addressing this again in the future from a position of greater strength, I think that's the move right now. I know that might seem kind of conniving and conspiratorial or something, but you know, we get put in these situations by jackasses sometimes, and what can you do? You got to do it in secret, otherwise the jackass is going to continue being a jackass. He's going to demote you, fire you, whatever, kick you out, whatever the problem is, if you keep pissing him off, even if you are right. So you got to do this in secret. If you can't afford to lose the battle, then you're in a really tough spot. And hopefully we can develop this reading further and we can explore both these interpretations for both these groups of people here. But really think long term. Think about winning the war. Think about tactical retreats and allowing, tactical losses of battle, tactical losses of resources, cutting your losses and regrouping. It's not an easy situation, but many wars have been won by employing those difficult strategies. Like, for instance, the guy who wrote the I Ching, King Wen. I know I talk about this guy all the time, but he did something like this, where he was working in the government of a tyrant, and he hated how this tyrant was using all these cruel punishments and high taxes, and it was just awful. And he kept speaking out, like, could you maybe not be so cruel to the people? And of course the tyrant never listened to him, and the tyrant even put him in like this sort of demotion exile type thing, where King Wen had to sort of just hide and not really do anything in the government and stuff. But he still had his reputation, his social authority. People still knew who he was. They knew he was like this really important guy. And so secretly he built up his strength and his forces because he had the intention of overthrowing this tyrant, which years and years later he eventually did, by the way, and he succeeded. Of course, it took him like a few decades, but he managed to do it, and he built up his forces in secret with a great deal of patience and tact and skill and thoughtfulness. And while he was doing it, the tyrant was suspicious of him. It's hard to keep these things entirely secret, and especially after you speak out against someone in authority, they will be suspicious of you forever. There's almost nothing you can do about that from that point on. So again, it's a dicey situation, but it requires a lot of bravery and thoughtfulness and long-term thinking. And you being a Capricorn, or having strong Capricorn placements, I have no doubt you're capable of that type of long-term thinking. It is commonplace for Capricorn to think tactfully, to understand patience and perseverance in achieving a goal. And I have faith you can do this. So let's develop this further. I'm going to spin a coin here, and it's going to land on a symbol, some aspect of reality and aspect of life, and that's what we'll focus on. See if we can develop this. So Oracle, what does Capricorn need to know? The element of water, the alchemical symbol for water. Now that's interesting because the two elements here in the I Ching are heaven above and water below. And water in this case kind of represents danger and an unknown aspect of life. In this case, heaven is also sort of airy, kind of upward or light or flowing upward or just flowing around. And water flows downward or across, is subject to gravity. And you have these sort of opposites, right? These things that are flowing in different directions. And water kind of, imagine like crossing a river is always dangerous, right? It's that type of vibe when it's in this hexagram. So here we have this sense of a bit of danger, or water has to do with emotions and our feeling center. So again, that whole thing of like swallowing your pride is important at this time. Thinking carefully. Like, if you enjoy argument and contention and conflict and fighting, that's going to bring a lot of problems. Like, now is not the time to indulge in argument or conflict because you enjoy it, because you think you're good at it and you think you can win that way. That's just going to bring further problems. That's just going to inflame the situation and make everything worse. So don't try to win just for the sake of winning. This is just the battle, it's not the war. It's really important to realize that. Because it's, you're crossing a choppy river here. You gotta really watch your step. So what does Capricorn need to know? I'm going to pull the tarot cards for you. What does Capricorn need to know about the water element? Contention. But I have a feeling you'll be successful. You know, that musical scale going up and up and up, it was like it went up and down a bunch of times. So there might be like a lot of ups and downs, like this rocky start to whatever it is you're doing. This lot of maybe losses, would appear to be losses, like tiny wins and losses. And it just, oh God, this is going nowhere. It's just going up and down forever. But with enough of these happening, you learn from your losses and you gain strength from them. Even when you lose, it doesn't mean you're giving up. You're just changing your strategy until finally you find one that works, and it just goes up and up and up and up forever. So like, you might have these ups and downs, and it's a point of a bit of danger and diciness when we have these rapid ups and downs and lots of losses in a row, and it can be very discouraging. And you just have to check your emotional center, don't get too discouraged, and play the long game. You're playing long term here, because you'll probably win in the end, or you'll just learn how to play music. The Knight of Swords, right? Is that the Knight of Swords? Yeah. The Knight of Swords. So here we have some Gemini, some airy energy, right? This is someone who's ready to go, who's ready to fight the war. So I think you have a lot of strength to do this. You have a lot of enthusiasm to go forward with this. Whatever this problem is, you want to solve it. You're ready for this contention. If it, you know, maybe this is the guy who can solve the problem before it begins. Sometimes you send out a rider to parley with the enemy, and you can come to terms before fighting starts. And, you know, when he's like raising that sword up, which is also a sign of desiring communication, like making yourself known, announcing yourself in public at first, and saying like, let's parley, let's come to terms before this gets worse. Like, let's hurry up and solve this. Like, there's a real problem here, and we have an opportunity to solve it. So I think you have that opportunity if you keep your emotions in check. Like, don't get angry, don't engage in conflict because you enjoy conflict and argument. You know, keep those prideful emotions down, like deal with those, sublimate those, turn those into productive energy, and use the wisdom of an arbiter, of an unbiased arbiter. And imagine like the type of guy that a general would send out to parley. Like, it's a very level-headed, trustworthy person who understands the situation very well, who has the authority to make terms and arrangements with the enemy, who can, with an unbiased mind, think of all the different solutions, can hold different ideas all at once, see the problem from different perspectives, from different people's perspectives, can advocate for those different people because they can see from those different perspectives. This is a person who has empathy and compassion and intelligence, emotional intelligence, and can come to terms based on this fairness, this clear-minded fairness, and wants to do so rapidly. So this is a good card for someone who, you know, wants to prevent a conflict from arising. Now, if the conflict already arose, this is that samurai energy where, again, you gotta act without emotion. And if you're in this fight, find the best way to end it. And you probably won't be happy with the outcome. Nobody will be happy with the outcome, but at least the conflict will be over and everything else will improve because this main issue is done and over with. So just realizing like this isn't about you being happy with the solution. This is about a problem just ending now. It's about timing. You know, don't let the problem continue beyond this point. It doesn't matter if the solution makes you unsatisfied. If you're dissatisfied with the solution, that's not important. Your emotions about the solution are not important. What's important is ending the problem as quickly as you can before it gets out of hand. Let's pull another card for you. Vibration. This always reminds me of music. We've got like some peacocks and pillars and interesting flowers that look like peacock feathers. So good vibes are important right now. Speaking from a sympathetic point of view, so there's this concept of sympathetic vibrations, where if you have something like a guitar or a sitar, some stringed instrument, and you pluck one string, the other strings that are harmonically sympathetic, like sort of tuned in a way that they agree with each other, those other strings will start to vibrate, even though you never touched them, you never plucked them. But the vibrations moving through space from the plucked string begin to resonate other strings. This is known as sympathetic vibration. And this has its analogy in society and amongst people, where speaking or acting in a certain way will reveal those who are sympathetic with you, who agree with you, who see things the same way you see things, who are moved by your actions or by your words. They kind of start to vibrate. You know, when you speak out, when you act, they will do things as well. They might speak out or act in turn in ways that are sympathetic with you. And this is a way of audio engineers testing a room, is we will play frequencies. We'll have a whole array of frequencies we can choose, not like on a guitar, but it's like an electronic device that creates a sound at any tone we want. And we can find objects in the room that will begin vibrating at what frequency. We'll pick a frequency and hear what vibrates, and we can sound treat a room by targeting certain vibrations, certain objects and certain vibrations, and knowing how this room and the objects in the room react to the sound we're going to be playing, to the music we're going to be playing, or whatever it is we're going to be doing. And it helps us to know how to organize a room, organize a sound system, how to mix and master the sound that's going to be played, and all this technical stuff. But it helps us reveal the things that we need to know. And the only way to reveal what could be hidden is by making sound. And it's generally very loud. We usually have to wear hearing protection when we do this, because you have to play it quite loudly for it to reveal. So that idea of speaking in public or doing something out in the open, above board, announcing your intentions, calling things out, speaking bluntly, has that loudness, metaphorically speaking. I don't think you'll need to yell, but metaphorically loud, where everyone notices, and then you can find who's on your side and who's not after that point. It will like make those who are sympathetic with you vibrate, so to speak, or reveal themselves. That's interesting. So I'm going to pull a token for you. And those people who sympathetically vibrate with you, those might be the ones you contact in secret. I'm not asking you to be shady. I know this is a shady ass reading. Sometimes life throws us difficult situations. But you know, those who sympathetically vibrate with you could become your greatest allies. So what does Capricorn need to know? The Knight of Swords, vibration, water, and contention. One last thing for you, Capricorn. Round this all together. So we have the middle path. So notice there are 3 lines here, 2 L-shaped lines going off to the left and right, and 1 straight right in the middle. So this is saying that this is the middle path is the most important. And here we have that sort of Vesica Pisces shape down at the bottom there, which is bringing 2 worlds together, in this case left and right, to find the middle. Again, this is verifies or confirms this concept of compromise. Now, on the Tree of Life, on the Kabbalah, the middle path is quite powerful. It's not a compromise between the left and the right. It's what 16th century or 15th century Buddhist prophet really called the middle beyond the extremes. It's not between the extremes, it's beyond the extremes. It's transcendent, this middle path, where this is the real position of an arbiter, someone who sees all sides of a conflict and transcends the sides of the conflict, and with the pure light of reason can determine the best course of action through. And I just think you will achieve that just making sure your emotions are in check. I think it'll be easy for you to keep your emotions in check by thinking of the middle path. Now, if you study Kabbalah, the middle path starts with the earth, it goes up to the moon sphere, or sort of the imaginal realm, then it goes up to the solar sphere, or the realm of beauty, or that sort of Christ's impulse kind of a thing, that solar power. And then beyond that, it gets into the transcendental spheres, right up to the crown, or the most high God, that the Godhead. And it's straight up there. So it's like earth, moon, sun, God, right? And it's just very balanced. You have moon and sun in perfect balance, the transcendent above it, and it's all just a straight line down to the earth, manifesting as all the elements that balance and create the physical world that we live in. And so calling upon maybe those energies, balancing the solar and the lunar energies within yourself, while constantly having the mind of even the higher Godhead energy that's organizing this balance, and come at the situation from that type of transcendent level-headedness, is going to just show you the path, the clear way through that's gonna bring you success here. Because I think you will have success with, vibration, the musical notes I was seeing before. Like, you might have to lose a few battles first, but you're not taking the left-hand path of strength. You're not taking the right-hand path of gentle victory. You're taking the middle path of, it's usually unique to the person, to the situation. The middle path can manifest in many different ways. Left-handed path is strength and militarism. The right-handed path is mercy and gracefulness. And those are usually the two strategies we use to achieve victory here. But you're using the middle path, which is going to be a unique type of strategy that is for you only. And it can appear counterproductive. Sometimes the progressive way looks retrograde. Sometimes the bright way looks dim. It can appear like the wrong thing to do. Like, you have to choose to purposefully lose a battle, or you have to choose to keep your mouth shut with this tyrant or whatever, and it seems like you're losing. But if you can quell those emotions of desperation or feeling at a loss, and think more transcendently and long term, you'll realize a strategy that is unique to you and your situation, and you'll be able to employ it at the right time and succeed. So a little bit of quietness and secrecy, coupled with finding out who sympathetically vibrates with you, but at first, bluntly speaking, publicly and out in the open, to announce and to secure your reputation in this. So that was probably a pretty specific reading for someone. That wasn't very general, but I hope it was insightful for someone. And I think that's where the Oracle and I are going to leave it for today. Thank you so much, Capricorn, for stopping by. I always appreciate it when you hang out with me. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you next time.